Good evening. A very happy New Year to all of you. It's nice to be back with you. Couple of things which I have to say which are going to be different. It represents a thought process. It doesn't necessarily represent its applicability to everything. But I hope that I can ask some questions for you to think about rather than give you answers to everything. When you look at the topic, it has two words which in my mind is very critical. One is global, one is next. Next. What do you mean by next? Who are these next generation which the global leaders are supposed to lead? These next generation individuals, especially in the IT services sector, are those people who are collaborating on the net in the way the world has never ever collaborated. These are the people who are getting together in structures which have nothing to do with hierarchy. These are the people who believe in open words, open standards, nothing proprietary. These are the people who believe that they can co-create value in structures which the world has not seen so far. These are the people who have access to anything and everything on the net, money, anything. They still choose to co-create value, and that is the reason they join industries like the IT services industry. They make a positive choice despite having lots of negative choices available to themselves. These are the people who are the next generation employees. And these are the people we are talking about leadership. So the question which I have before I go to global, is hierarchy relevant? Is direction to these people relevant? Is talking about training, development, mentoring, and we will do this to them, and we will do this to them, and we'll take them as caterpillar, and we will convert them to butterflies, is that relevant? What is this next generation going to be, and what kind of leadership styles are going to become relevant for this generation? There is one other question I always wonder and ask myself, never had an answer, that how come all of us in India, in US, Europe, are so attached to democratic values, but we run our companies in very autocratic way? It doesn't make sense. So when we talk about the next generation leaders have to think about servant leadership. They have to think about reverse accountability. They have to think about creating enabling functions where people do what they do well in collaborative environments rather than hierarchical environments, and where the higher you go, the more accountable you are to your people. And Bajaj is a great example of what they did 15, 20, 30 years ago in setting up what we call the collective collaborative leadership. We have a concept in HCL which is called destroy the office of CEO. And the reason that concept originated is because the days of this larger-than-life CEO who so-called represents a vision and represents that he knows all the answers and tells the organization go left and everybody goes left, and tells the organization go right, everybody goes right, in my mind doesn't exist, because I am not that competent to do all the things which are expected to be done by the CEO. The reason HCL continues to grow at the colossal rate it grows is predominantly because the employees are empowered and they collaborate outside the hierarchy, and they believe more empowered because, we as managers are accountable to them. You all know that in HCL, the 360-degree survey which is done, including mine by the employees, is put on the web so that everybody can see how I'm performing. Reverse accountability is very critical. So the question you need to think about is that as you are all, and we are all, used to these hierarchical structures, the next generation of employees who are coming in resist hierarchy, resist directions, resist anything which to do with structured collaboration. At the same time, they're co-creating significant amount of value. The second thing which you need to think about is the whole concept of global versus local. What do you mean by global? What do you mean by local? So far in the last 3 decades, where I've been reading management books, I'm still 26, but I've been reading, I have always found this whole concept that you take people, you send them to Japan, and then you rotate them to America, and In my tenure out here, I have not found that effective. I believe that you have, from a managerial point of view, a leadership point of view, you have to find leaders who will manage local in a global way. And the way to do that, possibly, and there is no right answer, is instead of converting a local into global, or converting a global into local, which is converting an American into an Indian and Indian into American, doesn't make sense. Why don't you create an enabling environment which is empowered so that people do what they do well in a collaborative environment, and you treat your business as global managers only as enabling? Then neither you have to become local, neither the local has to become global. As we go into mergers and acquisitions, as you go into newer and newer countries, as you accelerate your growth into newer and newer environments, it's going to become very important that you search for global managers who can do this. The last point I want to make today, which is very critical: leaders are neither born, neither trained. There is a leader in every single person. And that is the reason the IT industry is what it is today. It is not because of a handful of people, but it is because thousands and thousands and thousands. There are 10 million people who work in the IT industry, and each one of them have made a success of this industry. There is a leader in every person. So what we have to find is not find that leader, identify it, and give him a job. We just have to give an environment where he can demonstrate that leadership and bring value to the shareholders and to the company. Thank you very much.